I'm Emma McCartney and I am the lead nurse on the regional Cleft team based in Belfast. There are varying degrees of cleft, so infants can have cleft of the lip, lip only, lip and palate only as well. So a cleft is essentially a gap, and it can extend from the lip through to the back of the roof of the mouth, which is the palate. So cleft can impact on things like feeding and speech, and it can also sometimes have an impact on hearing. So depending on the cleft type, all children would need a certain element of surgery. Some surgeries on the lip can be at 3 months, between 3 months and 6 months. Palate surgery can be anything between 9 months and 12 months. And then children can sometimes require further surgeries on their palate as they grow. Yeah, there can be a need for further surgery, even on the nose or, on the palate. And patients can be involved with us right up into adulthood, really. We review them here quite regularly throughout the course of their lives by a range of disciplines: speech therapy, psychology, dental, our consultant surgeon as well. They can also require orthodontics, and they're also seen by audiology. There's an awful lot of worry at the beginning surrounding surgery. Down the line then, whenever the people have a few years behind them, I've had patients say to me, I wish I wouldn't have worried so much, because the surgery outcomes are really, really phenomenal. We're using a system called DynaCleft now for children who have cleft lip, and it is basically a taping device that can actually improve the surgical outcomes of children with quite wide cleft lips, and the Little Heroes charity have been able to fund that for us because it has been quite difficult to get that. And they would also fund the likes of breast pumps for mums who have a little baby with a cleft and is unable to latch that baby on. And Little Heroes would also fund us for attending. There's a conference, a craniofacial conference each year over in the mainland UK, and it's very, very good for meeting other teams and networking with other cleft professionals.
So I am an audiologist, and so in the hospital day to day I would work doing hearing tests for children and adults, so checking to see if they have any hearing loss, how their middle ear is working, and if there is any hearing loss, do they require hearing aids so we can fit them with hearing aids, or do they need to go on to see the ear, nose and throat doctor. If a child is born with cleft palate, their muscles in the middle ear will not work as efficiently as those that are born without cleft palate, and why they need to be having their hearing monitored is because they're at higher risk of fluid building up behind their eardrum, which is commonly known as glue ear. And if they have glue ear, if it persists, it can cause a temporary hearing loss. The child throughout their whole life can still be at risk of having the build-up of fluid behind their eardrum. So we still, regardless of any surgery that they've had on the cleft palate, we would still monitor their hearing throughout their childhood.
My name's Trez Boylan and I am a cleft speech and language therapist within the Cleft Palate service. The cleft speech and language therapists have an important role within the multidisciplinary cleft team. So we provide assessment, advice and therapy for individuals with speech problems related to palate function. So some of our assessments might include an X-ray of the person talking, or a small camera that goes up the nose to investigate the palate movement and its relationship to the back of the throat. Often the palate doesn't close well enough for speech, and that can create issues with nasal sounding speech or food or drink coming down the nose. Around 50% of children that are born with cleft palate will develop speech normally, and that means that 50% of children will then need speech therapy input. Of all the children that are born with cleft palate, we know that about 20% of those children will need further surgery to help their speech. We are very much, trying to coach the parents in strategies to support babble from as early as 6 months. So we have an early intervention clinic that we run with the cleft nurse specialist and dentistry, and there we give all this information about the role of the palate in speech and some practical ideas of how you can encourage babble from as early as 6 months. So Little Heroes has helped us with the funding of the little toys that go into babble bags that we then gift to parents at the early intervention clinic, as well as helping with funding for training courses as well, which is really essential for us keeping abreast with research and being able to network with our colleagues and specialists across the UK. The Northern Ireland Cleft Palate Service has a website within the Belfast Trust site where we have a lot more information and useful resources for all our service users, so please have a look.
We went into the 20-week scan and we were just ready for anything that sort of came up, and then in the last couple of minutes of it they had mentioned that he might have a cleft because he had his hand over his mouth the whole time, so it was that unknown. There's still a wee bit of the unknown because after the 20-week scan we knew that he had a cleft lip. We didn't know what was happening with the palate. We didn't know if he had any hearing issues or anything, so it was all down to just waiting until he was born and then having a whole team behind us.
Yeah, they had answers for all our questions. I was always kind of just thinking about like
his hearing.
Yeah, will he be able to hear okay? Will he be able to feed okay? That was my biggest concern.
Yeah, hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks we'll be going in for a day procedure, so it's quicker than we thought it was going to be. The minute we met the team, all those fears kind of just went away. They just made us think like no matter what happens they'll be there to back us up and deal with it, and they were.